Hey everyone, it's Noah with Extreme Terrain. Let's take a look at this Redrock dual exhaust system with polished tips and a rear exit for the 20 and newer Jeep Gladiator JT. Now this system is for the Gladiator owner who wants a dual exhaust with an aggressive volume and tone for a very small price tag. Now this system is going to fall at a 5 out of 5 on the Wake the Neighbor scale. As you just heard in that exhaust clip, even though it has a muffler, it's going to be really aggressive. So this system is mandrel bent and almost entirely free of restrictions like mufflers, making this exhaust just about as free-flowing as it gets. Now Redrock says that this exhaust is going to increase the power of your Gladiator. Now this system is dual exhaust as well, so the two chrome tips let the exhaust gases exit right out the very back in this case. Now that means you're going to be free from the noise and vibration that you'd expect from a turn-down system that would end under the bed area. Now that still doesn't mean that this exhaust is going to be tame in any way. If you're looking for a peaceful commute, this exhaust system is probably not the choice for you. All the piping that you're seeing is 409 stainless steel. 409 is a super corrosion resistant grade of steel. It doesn't come with the price tag of something that's made from 304 stainless, but it's still gonna hold up very well. Now all the piping is 3 inches in diameter, which really opens up the exhaust and lets that deep throaty sound bellow out of your Gladiator. And then lastly, the muffler is straight through with a perforated design, which is going to keep the exhaust gas moving quickly through and still provide an aggressive sound under acceleration with a nice and tame idle. So this exhaust system comes in around $430, which is seriously affordable when you consider how easy it is to spend over $1,000 on stainless exhaust these days. This system from Redrock is going to be one of the most budget-friendly ways to get a sweet dual exhaust system and an intense sound out of your rig. Looking at the install of this exhaust system, it's going to be able to be installed in about 2 hours at home in your driveway, and we're looking at an install difficulty of 2 out of 3 wrenches. Now you may need some mechanical expertise to get this guy bolted up, but I think you'll be alright because we're going to show you how to do it. Now let's head over to the install bay and check out that process step by step.
The tools you're going to need for this install include an impact, electric or regular 3/8 ratchet, flathead screwdriver, an 18, 15, 13, and 10 millimeter socket, a 3/8 extension, a hanger removal tool, a rag, safety glasses, gloves, penetrating oil, and your spare tire removal tool. What's up guys? Today we're going to be installing an exhaust on our Gladiator, but before we get started you're going to watch a short video on how to uninstall your stock components, and I'll meet you back here for the install.
Okay guys, first step obviously is we're going to have to remove our factory exhaust. Now we have our Gladiator up on a lift to give you guys some better angles to show you exactly what we're doing underneath the Jeep. And the way we're going to do this is going to preserve our factory exhaust. If you don't care about your factory exhaust, it might be easier just to cut it off, but we're going to show you how to get this off while preserving the piping. So let's go ahead and get started. All right guys, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the skid plate here, and that's so we can drop the front end of the exhaust down. It'll make it a little bit easier to kind of work its way out. The factory exhaust is basically one piece from the Y pipe all the way back to the tailpipe. So what we're first going to do is we have a 13 mil bolt or a nut right here we're going to remove, and then we have 4 18 millimeter bolts here and then 2 up front here that we're going to remove, and that'll let us get the skid plate down. All right, like I said, guys, that one we just did was a 13 millimeter, and the next 4 are all going to be 18 millimeter sockets you're going to need. All right, guys, now before I do the front 2, make sure you're supporting it with your hand, because once you loosen these, the skid plate's going to want to drop on you. All right guys, now this point back is what we're going to be removing. So this clamp here we're going to loosen. You're going to need a 13 mil socket for this ball clamp. Now unlike a regular flat clamp, these ball clamps have a kind of a curved edge that kind of cup around the end of the flange here, so you have to loosen it quite a bit in order to slide this out eventually. So we have that pretty good and loose, so we're gonna move to the next step. All right guys, now we're gonna pull back on this lock tab. This is just kind of to prevent the clamp from sliding at all. So just get a screwdriver in there, pull that back. All right guys, now we're right near the tailpipe, and this is the rearmost hanger. We're gonna remove this bracket because it is the one bracket that is pointing in an opposite direction from the other hangers further forward on the exhaust. I'm gonna use a 13 mil socket on these two bolts as well. All right guys, now just to get it out of our way, we're gonna pull this hanger off. You're gonna have to pull it out a little bit and rotate it down. There's this little tab right here that hooks into the frame rail, so you need to get it away from there. And you should be able to just pull this out like that. All right guys, now go ahead and assemble a tool that comes with your Jeep. We're going to lower our spare tire, get that out of the way, and then also remove the spare tire guard to finish getting out our exhaust pipe. Now this tool basically goes into a plastic sleeve that's behind the bumper here. Once you get that in, you can't twist it by hand, then you know you're on the, it's kind of like a bolt back in there that the end of this tool goes on, and we're gonna use this just like a socket wrench. And then the lug wrench here has a square opening in it, put that in the end here. All right, with a bunch of slack let out, guys, you don't want to drop it all the way to the ground. You want to be able to get a hand underneath your tire. Lift your tire up. And there's a black bracket the tire rests on. Slide it up the cable and get it through the lug hole. All right guys, now to remove the heat shield that protects our spare tire, you're gonna have 5 bolts. They're all 10 millimeter. There's 3 up here that are gonna be very hard, if not impossible for you guys to see on camera here, but we're gonna take those 3 out first. All right, and then we have the last 2 right here, again, 10 millimeter. All right guys, now at this step, we only have 2 hangers that are holding our exhaust pipe up, and they are both pointing towards the front, which means with the help of my friend back here, we're gonna slide the entire pipe backwards out of these 2 hangers and then drop it down and actually pull it forward to clear the rear axle.
First, we'll install our front pipe. You take our OEM clamp and slide it over. And you can take your pipe, put it over the flange. Get it lined up where this kink is going down. Now we can use our 13 millimeter socket and snug up our clamp. Next is our front muffler. First, we can slide our clamp over top. We can slide that in. Then you can take your 15mm socket and snug up the clamp. Now for our mid pipe, we'll take our 2 hangers and insert them in the isolators at the same time. The second isolator is above the axle. So we can line both of these up. Get the pipe into place. Good. So if you're having a little trouble getting your hanger into the isolator, you could spray some lubricant in there so it makes the process easier. Now we can tighten up our clamp using our 15mm socket. Next is our T-pipe. We can slide our clamp over the pipe, making sure that the bend is on the driver's side. Insert. Then you can take your 15mm socket and snug your clamp up. Now for the rear pipe, we can slide our clamp over. Then we can put our isolator through the hanger, put our pipe into place. Then we can mount up our isolator. And for the isolator, there is 2 prongs that will go in this part of the frame. Then we can thread in our 2 bolts. Then you can take your 13mm socket and tighten these down. Then we can slide our clamp, take our 15mm socket and snug this clamp. Now moving on to the passenger side, we can slip our nut clip in here. Then we can take our hanger plate and our included bolt and thread that on. Then you can take your 13mm socket and tighten this down. Then you can take your isolator, slide that through the hanger. Now we can take our rear pipe, slide our clamp over, insert into the T-pipe. We can grab our isolator, slide it over. Then take our isolator and put it onto the hanger mount. Then we can take our 15mm socket and snug up our clamp. Now we can slide our clamp over our tip, slide that onto the rear pipe. Then you can take your 15mm socket and tighten up the clamp. Now you can repeat that for the other side and tighten down all the rest of your clamps. Now we can reinstall our skid plate. Line it up into place. And hand thread the bolts in. And take our 13mm socket to tighten our nut up. And an 18mm socket for the rest. Next, we can reinstall our heat shield. There's 2 studs on the back of this bracket that'll line up with these 2 holes. Get our bolts threaded through over here. Then we can thread our 2 nuts onto the back of the studs. Then you can take your 10mm socket and tighten these up. Now to lift your spare tire back up, we can pull up on this black wing, put your spring through, get it aligned. Then you can loop this down under. Then we can jack it up. Now we can take our spare tire removal tool, slide it through this hole to a white funnel. You could twist it till the line gets tight. Then you can take your lug wrench and slide over. Then we can start twisting. So that's going to wrap up the install on our Red Rock dual exhaust system with polished tips for rear exit for your 2020 and newer Jeep Gladiator JT. Thanks for watching, and for all things Gladiator, keep it here at extremeterrain.com.